And welcome back, everybody, to another Theme Park Conductor episode. I am joined by the one and only Orange Grove 55. We are going to be doing a review on Downtown Disney and the review and the news that just came out. Broke the other day about some new stores. Earl of Sandwich finally getting its location. New things are being added to the plans of Downtown Disney every single day. It seems like things are changing, things are moving. So, it's going to be an exciting conversation without a doubt. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Orange Grove 55, brother. It's always good to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Conductor. I appreciate you, sir, for having me on again. It's always a good time to discuss all these steamy news and rumors with you, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Hot and steamy, just like hot peanuts.
There you go. Exactly.
Orange Grove 55, before we get started, sir, where can everyone find you at social media, sir?
Thank you so much, Conductor. You can find me on YouTube talking Disney theme parks. We talk Universal as well. We also dip into the studio side of things, the corporate side of things. And we do kind of everything over there, but it's mostly theme park based. But it's Orange Grove 55 on YouTube. On Twitter, it's at Orange Grove 55. And on Instagram, it's Orange Grove 55.
Absolutely. I love that sound effect. And everyone, you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Twitter at Theme Conductor. And you can also find me coming up this next weekend. Not this weekend. Well, actually, I think this weekend, starting on the 5th, you can find me at Universal for the Halloween Horror Nights opening weekend. I will be there with Tommy Toon World, who was just on our show with Mondo from Five Fires. So definitely check out that video. I'll link that video in the description as well. OG55. So did you hear about the news Disney dropped about the new shops, restaurants coming to Downtown Disney?
I have. We did a little video on it the other day too, where it's pretty interesting. They dropped a ton of news. Now we knew this stuff was coming. We knew new retail, new dining was going to come into the Downtown Disney area. We just didn't have many details. So what they announced, some of the stuff is kind of surprising, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And it's funny. So they have in Avengers Campus, they have two or three Avengers stores, including the new one they just added in the Avengers Vault, which is the show building, which was supposed to be for the Avengers e-ticket, which we got news on at D23 thanks to you and a bunch of collaborators that were there. We are getting the Avengers e-ticket alongside another ride we weren't expecting. One thing I do want to say is people that can't go into DCA to experience Avengers Campus and want to, get the merch. This is a nice benefit to have this store. And I kind of find it interesting. They call it Avengers Reserve. What do you think about the name?
Yeah, the name is interesting. I think it's kind of, I was talking to the Italiano, my co-host over there on my channel. I was talking about with him the other day. For me, it's sort of indicative of like the Marvel merch overall must be selling really, really well for them to justify another location selling the stuff in Downtown Disney.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like if the merch wasn't really moving or like they really weren't happy with the sales, they wouldn't dedicate this large of a space. This looks like a pretty significant, store sides for this stuff. So it must be doing pretty decent. So yeah, we'll see. But interesting name. It's kind of got that like that vault reserve, like very industrial kind of sound to it. I think, right?
Well,
Military.
That and the building that this is located at, I think they're going to have 3 or 4 retail spots. And as David liked to call it early on in the construction, it looks like the Best Buy from the outside, even though it's not a Best Buy. I just want to everyone, it's not a Best Buy, but it looked like it when it was being constructed. My thinking about this is it kind of benefits people that are staying at the hotels. It benefits people that want to just go into downtown Disney to dine and, do entertainment, where it's either going to a restaurant, then maybe going to Splitsville, doing some Disney shopping. You don't have to be inside the theme park to experience the Avengers merch, which I think is absolutely incredible. And it looks like, from this picture in the corner here, it looks like they're going to have like a big giant Hulk.
Yeah.
On that side. That's dope, dude.
I like that a lot. Actually. That's pretty cool. It adds a little flavor to the store, I think, because these store facades are very mid-century, so they are themed. I don't want to say they're unthemed. They do have a theme to them. It's very mid-century, but it's a very simplistic, sort of minimalist sort of design. Yeah. So, and that's done on purpose, so when vendors leave, they can swap them out more easily. But because of that, it's kind of nice to have at least a few elements here that sort of stand out and give it a little personality. The Hulk is a perfect addition to that. Oh
yeah, and then you got, how can you forget Mr. Webba is hanging on the vendor sign up there.
Exactly. Our one and only Mr. Webba. Look at saving the day as usual.
Oh God, that's awesome. So I'm just going to read this for everyone watching. Basically, it says, coming this winter. So everything we're going to talk about on today's episode, every store, every restaurant, assuming no delays, this is all coming in the winter time. So they are pretty close to releasing this. It says, coming this winter, an all-new shopping destination will open in the district, celebrating the unique fandom and stories of Earth's mightiest heroes and all their amazing friends. Avengers Reserve will feature favorite characters and stories throughout collectibles, apparel, accessories, toys, and comics. Curated assortments will make this a must-visit for fans of all ages. So one thing I wanted to ask you, from looking at this picture, not that one. Looking at this picture, do you think they might, and I know it's kind of hard to see it, do you think they might have like special like events at the store? Because you have to think about it. This kind of faces the opposite side where Din Tai Fung is, and you kind of have that little park area where it's right in front of the Guitar Pick, where they do live entertainment at night. But it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to do some type of events at the Avengers Reserve.
Yeah, that's possible. I think if they do an event, they might do something like a book signing, or maybe like some of the creators in the comic book space might be out here. Things like that. I think if they do any kind of events, I think it'll be kind of the smaller scale stuff. But I could absolutely see stuff like that occurring at this store. Maybe some artists from Marvel. It's a like a fan meet or something, or like I said, like a book signing, things like that. I could see, for sure.
It's so funny you bring that up, that, the last time I did May the 4th would be with you, the Star Wars Night event, and May the 4th. One of the things I noticed is in the Disney, it's called the Disneyana store. It's connected to the museum where Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln was. They actually had a signing where you can buy like a little picture, and it was one of the original, I wouldn't call him Imagineers, but he was kind of connected with Disney, but he also worked for Lucasfilms, kind of creating the concept art for the early days of the Star Wars movies. But all the pictures were kind of like cartoonish type because they're sketches, but
Right.
they're really nice sketches. But he was doing signings and whatnot. That's kind of what you're saying with this. I can kind of see that. So it's not just another retail location. Disney kind of ups it a little bit. And I think they can. I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think they absolutely can. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how this kind of shakes out. You know, I mean, Downtown Disney has been looking, and I didn't even realize it until they started digging into the area. But Downtown Disney was getting really, really dated. You know, and you go right, and you go through Downtown Disney and you don't even think about it. It's so like feels like home. You know, you just feel like, okay, this is Downtown Disney. But now that they're sort of renovating this back half of Downtown Disney, the other half that's closer to like, you know, the Esplanade and what have you, I'm looking at that side now going, wow, this is so I can't believe how dated this is. I didn't even realize it until they started this other stuff. So, you know, it's a welcome change.
Oh, absolutely. So the next store that's going to be next to the Avengers Reserve is the D-Lander store. So interesting name by far, but it kind of, because Mondo did a video on this yesterday or the day before.
Fired up.
Great friend of the channel. He was talking about this. This kind of looks like a smaller version of the Disney, the big Disney store in downtown Disney. But this would be like the higher end collectibles, apparel, because it even says, and I'm going to read the description for this one as well. It says, also coming this winter, the D-Lander shop will be a fresh, quintessential Southern California boutique celebrating trend-forward fashions for Disneyland fans, offering a stylish collection of apparel, accessories, and jewelry. So it kind of makes me wonder if it's going to be, they're going to have Disney merch, but they're not going to carry like the average merch. They're going to carry the upscaled, you know.
Yes, I feel like it will be probably a little more upscale. I feel like it'll also kind of play into the locals market because of the name D-Lander. I think it's going to cater to people's nostalgia and kind of be like a love letter to the fans. Like, hey, you know, all the people that grew up in Southern California and grew up on this park, this store is for you, basically. You know, we're going to have all kind of vintagey kind of shirts and button ups and things like that. You might see like some mid-century, like, you know, Mr. Toad kind of designs, like that kind of stuff I can definitely see here. And it just feels like they're leaning into that nostalgia and leaning into that locals fan base that grew up on this park.
Oh, absolutely. I love the sign. The sign looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's clean.
Oh God. Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about, Marceline's. So right now, as it sits today, Marceline's is closed, but they have a pop-out location right in front of the store. But as you can see here, it's taking up, how many spaces is it taking up? The current one it had, and then 2 more spaces that were next to it, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Because I know that corner unit was a dress shop. Yes. The last thing I think it was a dress shop, if I'm not mistaken. Now that's gone. That's getting swallowed up by the new Marceline, which is now called the Wonderful World of Sweets. So this is a huge upgrade in terms of space, which they needed. I mean, I would go into Marceline's quite a bit. My mom likes the candy apples. So if I was ever at the parks, I would kind of grab her an apple before I left. And you'd go in there and you would literally have to take a number and it would take forever to get your stuff. This will open it up, and I'm assuming things will kind of move a little faster. I'm a little torn on the name change because I'm just a big Walt guy, and Marceline, you know, that was Walt's hometown, his childhood home. Yeah. And so it had that special connection to Walt, but I understand why Disney is changing the name. They're trying to make it a little more normie friendly, so to speak, where it's like a little more relatable to the normies. Like the normies are gonna understand this more than the Marceline thing, right? Yeah. So I get it, and I'm not necessarily mad at why they're doing it because it makes total sense. But as a Walt guy, the Marceline's name was pretty cool, you know.
You know what's funny about that is the fact, and we've seen Disney do it before, where they've stripped a name or like for example, Splash Mountain that's getting turned into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm sure there's going to be some Easter egg, whether it's in the ride or the new Bayou Land, that kind of references back to Splash Mountain. It kind of makes me wonder with this, if Marceline's, if they're going to have an Easter egg inside the store where it still kind of pays tribute, or if they, design a treat that will be named after Marceline's. So the name is not completely dead.
It would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice to have some sort of homage to Marceline's, in this new store. That would be absolutely fantastic. I think that's a great idea, Conductor. I think that's a perfect sort of compromise, to have something in there that pays like a little bit of an homage to that. That's cool. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad because I've done Marceline's as well. I have a buddy, his mom loves, or no, it's his dad loves a lot of the homemade chocolate they make in there. So anytime I was there, he's like, grab me a bag. Okay. But yeah, the whole number thing was annoying. There were 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You take a number and it's like you're sitting there for like half hour, 45 minutes, just waiting for a bag of candy or a candy apple or a marshmallow thing. It's like, so this opens it up. I mean, to have that entire, it looks like that entire building is going to be this candy shop. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And it also makes me wonder too, because you could see on the railing up there, are they going to have something else where that might be for like private events, or is that just going to be off limits no matter what? And that could just be maintenance access, or because it's kind of decorated pretty nicely just to have it for maintenance.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it could be like a rooftop dining or something, right?
Sure.
I mean, they haven't announced anything for that, but I mean, maybe down the road they will. Maybe it'll be like a bar or something up there,
That'd be sweet. Kind of like a Twosomes bar. Not
yeah,
Twosomes, but something like that to kind of fit into the whole building.
Yeah, 100%.
That would be kind of cool. So I'm gonna read the description for everybody. Basically, it says Marceline's Confectionery to transform in the Disney wonderful world of sweets. What a name! That's a long name.
That's a long one. Yep. Yeah. All it needs is a colon, as Wizard says.
Oh yeah, got to put that in there. Marceline's Confectionery is being reimagined and expanded into Disney wonderful world of sweets. God, I gotta get used to that. A whimsical candy, sweets and treats shopping featuring tasty favorites such as churro toffee, which is my favorite. I love churro toffee. Nice. Caramel apples, sour balls. God, that's weird to say that.
Yeah, right. Sour ball. Yeah, exactly. Not my cup of tea.
Packaged confections, freshly made, weathered original caramel popcorn. You'll be able to watch these delightful delights being handmade from an expedition kitchen viewable from the promenade. So they're not getting rid of that. So that's a nice thing they're keeping, because I know a lot of kids like to watch them make the caramel apples and decorate and stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah.
This shop will also open this winter, and in the meantime, you may visit the Marceline's Confectionery cart to pick up your yummy goodies.
Interesting. So when they say winter, they're basically talking, I would say, anywhere between like November to like February, I guess, probably in that range.
Maybe, but you know as well as I do, Downtown Disney seems to, around November, December, especially for Christmas, Downtown Disney gets packed. So I would kind of want to believe that they want to get this open before then. So maybe like early October.
That's a great point, Conductor. Yeah, you're going to want to get in there and get it open before the holiday crowds, because the holidays are the new summer. It's the new summer. I mean, that's when everyone really goes, especially out here in California with the key holders and stuff. The Halloween time and the Christmas time and all that stuff is huge here in California. So yeah, I would try to get it open as close to November as you possibly can.
Okay, so I just want to ask you before I read the next description of this. Does this look appetizing to you? It kind of reminds me of like Hello Kitty, like we're gonna see at the cafe over there.
Yeah, it's very Hello Kitty. Like my my ex-girlfriend actually used to work at that Hello Kitty store at our mall, and she would bring home like the gums and all that stuff. And like, yeah, this is the same kind of stuff, I think, right? Also a lot of jelly stuff, which in Japan, I think it's pretty popular, like these little jelly candies and stuff. So we're going to see a lot of that, very Japanese inspired. I like this cart though, because I feel like it's very unique. Like we don't see a lot of this kind of stuff. And I think this has a potential to do really, really well. The fact that it's kind of unique little candies, the fact that it's adorable, cute little characters, this might do really, really well. And it might be a beta test for something bigger. You know, we just saw over at Universal, they're going big on Japan at Universal Hollywood with the Hello Kitty Cafe and all that stuff, right? At City Walk. This might be kind of like a beta test to see how this kind of thing does in downtown Disney. Maybe one day we'll get a Hello Kitty Cafe at downtown Disney or something similar, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, see, it's funny that this is coming because I don't think this was originally announced or even hinted at when they were talking about doing remodels of downtown Disney, and it kind of intrigues me because I forgot the gentleman's name, but aren't we getting the head of Imagineer from Tokyo Disney to come over here and handle Disneyland Forward? So I wonder if this has something to do with him.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never made that connection. I actually forgot about that. I was actually on vacation with the Italiano when they made that announcement. That was pretty exciting news. Yeah, that's interesting. Getting a little more Japanese influence over here in downtown Disney around the time we're getting the guy from Tokyo. That's an interesting connection. I don't know if there is a connection there, but it's an interesting one. It's possible. It's possible.
So it basically says super cute kawaii slime cart. Interesting name. Coming this fall. Stretch it, fold it, squeeze it, twist. God, that just doesn't sound right at all.
That's a Tuesday night for the Italiano, you know.
Sounds like it. Good Lord. The cutest slime ever. Kawaii Slime is coming to a cart this fall in downtown Disney District. Kawaii means cute in Japanese. There you go. There's the Japanese connection. And this company puts cute in everything they do. Clearly, because it looks cute. Hello Kitty cute. The mom-owned business brings an imaginative array of slime concoctions and toys in a multitude of different textures, colors, secrets, glitter, mix-ins for kids and kids at heart to play with over. And so this cart, without it being a shop, kind of reminds me of like a Lego store, but it's not Legos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see that. I can see it's probably a similar demographic. It definitely skews younger for sure.
Yeah. I forgot the little, back in the early day, they had those little things you could buy at like Toys R Us. I forgot what they're called. Play-Doh. Yeah, Play-Doh. Yes. That's kind of what. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. No, 100%. It's interesting too. It says it's a mom-owned business. So this is a fairly, and I don't know how big this business is, but they make it sound like this is a pretty like small. Well, yeah, but like a pretty small business, like lucrative for sure, yeah. But like a small business though, like it is, you know, which is interesting for downtown Disney. I mean, good for them. That's awesome, you know. But wow.
Yeah.
Mom is balling over here, you know.
Hey, she's gonna have to get visited by OG and the Italian George for the OG experience.
The OG experience, yeah, exactly. Special access, you know, we got to get that special access at the Kawaii cart.
Absolutely. So this is the big one because I'm, you know, we had Steakhouse 55. I ate there a couple times. I was impressed every single time, and that was at the Disneyland Hotel. And this location, the Steakhouse and Barbecue Restaurant, from Michelin star chef Joey. I'm not even going to try to say his last name because I don't want to botch it and he get all pissy at me.
He'll be in the comments. He'll be in the comments like, "What the hell, conductor?"
Exactly. I'm going to call him Chef Joe.
Chef Joe. Yeah.
This steakhouse and barbecue restaurant, Wizard, again, absolute goat when it comes to permits. He found a permit that's gonna that Disney is filing. They are gonna start leveling and fencing off Tortilla Joe's.
Yes,
so it's going to the ground.
To the ground. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're getting rid of the whole building. So that in and of itself is newsworthy and very interesting. Number one. But number two that I found interesting was that we recently saw them remove the fountain in front of Tortilla Joe's.
Yes. And so, this is the permit, by the way, but sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. Oh no, you're good. Thank you for the info. This is from Theme Park. Is that Theme Park IQ?
Yeah, Theme Park IQ, and I think Wizard posted it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so they got rid of the fountain near Tortilla Joe's. A lot of fans were upset about that. Oh man, Disney's getting rid of fountains. Now everything is sort of coming into perspective here, though, in terms of like why they got rid of that fountain. It's likely because they're bulldozing Tortilla Joe's and they're building a steakhouse and a barbecue joint in this space. So it looks like the fountain was removed because they're just putting a lot of stuff now in this area,
Oh yeah. And if you look at it, because I have a map, I want to say Tortilla Joe's. Where? Okay, here it is. Right here.
Yeah, is that kind of pinkish building?
Yeah, it's right here. You can kind of see that's a big footprint, like big. So
yeah,
having
it's huge.
Two different restaurants is not out of the realm. It's not.
Oh no, that's a huge building. Yeah. And then you can see where the fountain used to be.
Yeah,
that kind of leafy looking thing right there. So they're gonna configure it. The building might not even be necessarily the same layout. They might configure these buildings differently, But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. It is a little bit. I can see why if you look at the fountain too, how it sits in between these two buildings. It does make a little bit of a pinch point to get into this. So yeah, it definitely was removed to open this area up, and we'll kind of see how they lay everything out now.
Well, see, the other thing I want to point out as well, and I was talking to you before we recorded this, was that I think Disney's goal, besides Din Tai Fung, every building that they are going to construct, they are going to make it look modern. So it's going to look like the Jazz Kitchen, where it's kind of like a blank canvas. So these third-party companies that come in and build their restaurants, shops, so on, Disney is taking the smart approach, I think, and doing a little theming, but not too much theming. That way, if they need to bring another third party to replace, some of these buildings to add another location for dining, it's easier than ripping down the whole building.
Yes, and I completely agree with you. That's why they're going minimalist with this. Like you said, it's not unthemed because everything they're building has a very mid-century vibe to it. So it definitely has a theme to it, but it's more minimal, right? Because think about it. Look at something like Rainforest Cafe, very specific for that restaurant. Now Rainforest Cafe as a business, I think the whole company went out of business or is like really struggling. Now they're gone now though. So now Disney has to find something that matches the building to put in there. When if they would have had a normal building, like a mid-century building in the first place, you could have put anything in there. And it's almost like bad show in a lot of ways, because a lot of times with these ultra themed buildings, when you try to shoehorn something else into it, you can tell, it's like going into the mall and there's like an old Disney store. And it's like a card store or like a shoe store, and the new business like leaves some of the Disney store fixtures and stuff up. You can tell they moved in after the fact. That's kind of how a lot of this stuff feels like when you have a building designed for one thing and then something else moves in. It feels like something is moved in and shoehorned. So hopefully they learn their lesson. I am a little disappointed with Din Tai Fung in the sense that is a very Chinese building, which I love the architecture. It is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. But when Din Tai Fung eventually leaves, now you have a building that's very Chinese.
Yeah.
What do you do? You have the same issue that you have with ESPN Zone and the same issue that you have with Rainforest Cafe. It becomes a problem,
Well, see, my whole thinking is this. I don't know if I had to, and this is just a shot in the dark. If I had to pick between the two restaurants to bring something back, like a relic, I don't think Rainforest, even if they found another dining company that kind of represents to a point, I don't think the Rainforest building would. No, I think that would be demolished. Now with ESPN, it's kind of a hit or miss for me because I kind of feel they could bring ESPN back. They could. In a way, I feel they could, but will they? Up in the air. Because if not, those two locations probably are going to be part of the isn't that the Stitch parking lot literally right behind it?
Yeah, it's close by. And then also the thing with the ESPN zone, from what I understand, it's being used right now for cast members for something that I don't know exactly what it is, but there is some facility now for cast members. So like Disney has to like find a new home for these cast members, whatever they do in there, before they can even touch that building. So that's going to take time, I think. Rainforest Cafe doesn't have that issue. It's just a Star Wars store that's in there right now. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe once, because right now I think the Earl of Sandwich trailer is parked right outside the Rainforest Cafe. Maybe once Earl's moves into its new home, we'll start to see movement on the bulldozing of Rainforest Cafe because it's within that same proximity. So once Earl's moves their trailer out and we get a permanent Earl's home, maybe that's when they're going to take down Rainforest. I hope they do because there's a lot of room there. And again, it's a themed building with it's very limited as to what can go in there. So,
and they would have to find a company that would fit that theme. Or else you're right back where you started, where you have to demo the building to build something else.
Yeah, the only thing that I would be like 100% okay with would just be converting it into an Indiana Jones bar.
Oh, dude, so down.
Now that would be cool. That would be cool, and that would work in there. Outside of an Indiana Jones bar, yeah, bulldoze it.
Yeah. Well, what would you think about a restaurant? Just the whole aspect of it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like an Indiana Jones restaurant and grill, like bar and grill or something, or restaurant and whatever. Like anything Indiana Jones, I think would fit really nicely in there.
That's if they decide to do it.
Yeah, if they decide to do that. I mean, that's what I would do with it. But if they have other plans for it, then you gotta bulldoze it. You can't shoehorn something else in there, you know?
No. So it's and from what I'm reading about this steakhouse, it's going to be high end. So it kind of reminds me again, like an homage to Steakhouse 55. Because I remember their menu was high end. Steaks, chops, all that. It was all high end, all, like I literally felt like when I went in there, I'm like, God, I feel underdressed. Do I need to wear a suit or a suit jacket or something? Because it felt high end. And
it's a dressier kind of vibe for sure, and a lot of these steakhouses are, so this one is probably no exception to that. It's probably going to be at least a button-up shirt, and some chinos or something.
Oh yeah. So here's the coup de grace right here. So next to Avengers, the Avengers store, and that Disney store. I'm just gonna say the Disney store, high-end Disney store, the boutique. Finally, we get concept art of what Earl Sandwich is gonna look like, and that's gonna go in the back part of that little park. That's gonna go on the backside. So, my question to you is: this kind of almost looks like Jazz Kitchen.
Mm-hmm. It does. I mean, the aesthetics of it, even the color scheme, right? The kind of the white and the orange, and that's what I was telling people. Like when they were doing the Jazz Kitchen and they were getting these different color schemes and stuff. I'm like, just be patient because you're probably going to see a lot of the elements within the rest of Downtown Disney adopt the same sort of style. They're going for a new look, and sure enough, here we go. Earl's has like literally the same color scheme. It looks kind of very similar. So they want to make it look kind of unified. I also want to say this: Earls of Sandwich have been the most loyal tenant that Disney has ever had. They have been moved around like 15 times. Disney, if you're watching this, you have got to do a solid for Earls and give them a discount on that rent. They have been there through thick and thin. I mean, this is crazy. So yeah, I would give them some sort of deal, man. They hung out. They toughed it out for a long time. I mean, they were booted out of their original spot because we were going to get a hotel over there. Yeah. And then Disney was fighting with the city over like taxes and stuff. So Disney canceled the hotel, and they've been moved like 2 or 3 times now. So, you know, I hope they treat Earls really well. I hope they're giving them a little bit of a kickback here, a little special access. You know what I'm saying? You got to. You got it.
And on top of that, since Earls is getting hopefully a permanent location, bring back the beef dip. That's all I got to say. Bring it back.
Bring it back for Conductor. Bring it back. Come on, Earls. Bring it back.
He wants that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So basically it says, Earl Sandwich fans, we have news for you. As we previously shared, all new Earl Sandwich is being developed in downtown Disney District. In addition to a light and airy Earl Sandwich plan for the ground level, the second floor will be home to an all-new table service concept. What does that say? Carnberry Tavern? Did I read that right?
Carnaby Tavern.
Carnaby Tavern. So this picture, when you look at this picture, what does this remind you of?
So it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of Austin Powers.
Yes.
Baby.
Oh yeah.
that you know, that British 1960s pop thing.
Yeah, so it looks like a British pub.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, like a high British pub. And it's funny because when I was watching Mondo's video on this, because he went through everything we're talking about, he was actually saying, is there going to be any live entertainment?
I would be surprised. It would be absolute malpractice if you have a venue like this, a 1960s British pop kind of venue, and you don't have any kind of live entertainment. I mean, I would imagine they would. It's a no-brainer. You kind of have to, right? I would think.
You would have to, but if you look at this right here, this part up here, the second level where you have the balcony, I can see Disney, or I can see Earl Sandwich if they're having like a concert, right, at that little guitar pick, because this overlooks the grassy area and the guitar pick stage that they recently built. This can be like a dining package almost. So
that's an interesting point. Yeah,
I can see potential here.
Yeah, no, so can I. The proximity from this to the stage is really close. This is actually not too far from where we had our OG55 meetup. It's kind of funny, but it was like right there. But yeah, that's a great point, though, Conductor. You're within walking distance of that stage. There might be a little bit of synergy there with this pub and a band or a group performing, and kind of tying that in, right?
Oh yeah, so like in the tavern, I'm not saying like have a full-blown band where it's gonna like cause issues, but like, you know, maybe like a acoustic guitar player, a piano player, a singer, you know, something where it's like a 3 or 4 person band, something small, but where it's not gonna ruin the dining experience, but it's gonna kind of make it nice and kind of homey and you know, relaxing.
Yeah. No, well said. Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. And that's why you that's why you have that stage, you know, utilize it, you know? And now you have a great little grassy little knoll area, whatever you want to call it, a little park. People can hang out. When we did our OG55 meetup, a lot of people were taking advantage of that little park. I mean, a lot of families were just kind of sitting on the grass, their kids were running around. It was really nice to see. I was looking at that going, Walt would love this. I know a lot of fans aren't like a huge fan of like the fake grass stuff, but aside from the fake grass, I think Walt would absolutely love that concept. It's very communal, kind of family-based sort of thing where you can just sit there and just watch your kids play and you're just spending quality time with the fam. I think it's great. I love it over there.
Oh, yeah. So basically, it says the Carmody Tavern is being designed as a homage to the swinging 60s. So you're right on that. British invasion, pop and rock bands from the UK. The restaurant will feature, so they are going to have entertainment, it sounds like. The restaurant will feature a patio with an indoor-outdoor full-service bar. We look forward to sharing more details in the future. So they're giving us concept art, but they're not like giving us all of it. So I'm okay with it. They gave us a lot just between two pictures. Also, it says, as we look forward to an all-new Earl's sandwich offering, the Earl's location on the east side of the district will close in 2025, probably in February or March, if I had to guess. So construction may begin on Porto's Bakery. Now, I want to ask you, you and George have talked to Danny, because Danny kind of knew some insight about the Esplanade. How much of that Esplanade is going to be, walled off?
Here's my prediction. Here's my kind of speculation on this. The Portos, for those of you that are not in California, that aren't familiar with Portos, I don't know how many Portos locations they have outside of California, but the ones out here, like the one in Burbank and what have you, they are very popular. And this isn't something that you can just kind of throw into an existing building and call it a day. The demand for these Portos locations are massive. It's like building a new In-N-Out. Like, you have to have the infrastructure to kind of handle it. You know what I'm saying? So for this, I can see it. Look, you can see right there the light brown building or rooftop. That's where it's going to go, right? And to the right of that, you see the 2 ticket booths, right? I think that whole area between that building and the ticket booths, you might even see a removal of the ticket booths over there. I think they're gonna redesign that whole little area for Portos. You have to have proper queuing space for this location. I'm telling you right now, we have another one out here in the valley, and that thing, even the one out here in the valley, it's crazy busy all the time. This thing is gonna be nuts. You're gonna have to build a pretty significant building with a good size queuing area. So everything from that current building all the way to that ticket booth on the side, onto the right of it, I think is fair game. And once you start going into the area where the 2 ticket booths are, that's technically the Esplanade. So I think they're going to dip into the Esplanade a little bit with this thing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some changes. I don't think they're going to go all the way with the Esplanade anytime soon, but this little corner, I think is going to see some changes. And you might even see maybe some different lampposts in the area or what have you. So, and that's the other thing too. A lot of fans were getting impatient with it. Why didn't they start Portos? Did they cancel it? No, it's just because this brand or whatever bakery is very popular, and you have to figure out how to put it in here and make it work, operationally. So I think that's what's the holdup. A lot of it has been figuring this out. So we'll see, but I think you're going to see a lot of changes in this little area right here for sure.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because here is another one of those little fountains. You think that's going to disappear?
It might. Likely. Yeah, no, it might. I know people are upset with that, and it's probably not what people want to hear, but I think it's an absolute possibility that little fountain goes away. Yeah, they're going to I think they're really going to, I'd be surprised if they don't, but I think they're really going to reimagine this area for Portos. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some significant changes here.
Oh yeah, and we're talking when it comes to Portos, the ones in SoCal and the one obviously by you in the Valley, I could see them building it kind of like what we just saw with Earl's Sandwich, where it could be a 2 or 3 story building. And it looked modern, which I'm okay with, because if you look at it, it's not like when you're on the ground here looking in front of Soren, and again, it's how they design Portos, but I don't think if they make it at least a 2-story, you're not going to sit there and be walking, next to Grizzly Peak and say, "Oh, look I see the tip of Portos behind Soren." I think
no,
big enough, but they're going to make it long. What I think they're going to do, they're going to make it a 2-story, but they're going to make it long. That
right.
way, it accommodates more room, more guests. So I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah, I think it's going to be bigger, much bigger than what we currently have. I think you're right. I think it'll be longer. Yeah, you're not going to see it. The Soren building is a monstrosity. Like it's never going to peak. The Soren building, there's nothing that you can really put there that's gonna peak over that. But it will be bigger than the current building. I can assure you that. It has to be. It just has to be because these Portos, the demand is just way too high.
Oh, they're massive.
Way too high. I mean, you can like reserve, like there's the one in Burbank, you like reserve your order and you drive up and there's like almost like a queuing, like a drive up queuing area for it and stuff. I mean, there's a huge line to get in. I mean, it's just crazy, man. I can't even believe the demand for, I mean, I like Portos. I've eaten there quite a bit.
Oh, me too.
But it is, okay, here, I like it a lot, actually. I mean, it's really tasty, but I don't understand like why it's like as popular as it is. Like, it's not like, oh my God, like the best thing I've ever had, but it is what it is. People seem to love it and they come in droves. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. And you're looking at this footprint. Again, you have 4 ticket booths here, and obviously it's looking like, it's not confirmed yet, it's looking like these 2 might be in jeopardy of getting ripped out. This found's pretty much looking at, getting ripped out, which I'm okay with. And again, going back to what Danny said when you had him on a show a while back, what is his idea of the future of the Esplanade? Because you're looking at it right now, and that's a big space of real estate, and there's not much there.
Yeah, we talked about it on my channel with Danny, and shout out to Danny. We love Danny. He's fantastic. Really, really nice guy, really knowledgeable about the parks. But we talked about it where, there's 2, 4, 6, 8 ticket booths here. Well, we live in a new age where you order a lot of stuff online now. You don't need 8 ticket booths anymore. You need some physical booths for sure, but you don't need 8. So I think the future of the Esplanade, I think we're gonna get a serious downsizing of how many physical booths there are. We're probably gonna get whatever booths they do build. Will probably be this new mid-century design.
Sure.
So we'll probably get something mid-century. The tile work will absolutely go. That stuff, they've been letting that stuff basically rot. And it's because they can't remove those tiles, because with the people who paid for those like personalized tiles,
sure,
they have a set amount of years that they have those tiles. So they can't touch those tiles until 10 years after the last one was installed. So we're looking at a few years out probably still. So once the tiles are able to get removed, like the personalized little 50th anniversary tiles, then I think we're going to see them really start digging this up. And they're going to totally reimagine it. I'm predicting the aesthetics will be mid-century like the rest of downtown Disney. So we'll see. I mean, they're going to get rid of, I think, the kind of like this kind of garden motif. When you go through the Esplanade, you see a lot of these light fixtures have like little leaves on them and stuff. All that'll go away. There'll be new light fixtures, new tile work. I think the ticket booths will be mid-century. I think that's kind of where we're going with it. So I'm excited for it. I mean, I think it needs it. It's really, 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 really dated at this point. And starting to look run down, to be honest with you. I'm kind of disappointed in Disney. I know that, they want to get rid of it. I know the plan is to redo this area, but I think you have to maintain it in the meantime. And it's looking really, really like worn out.
Yeah. Really wretched. The last time I was there, it was when late 2021, and it started looking bad. So I can only imagine what it looks like now. I haven't been back.
It's rough. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
I was going to ask you also, So the new security entrance, and I actually have a picture of it, courtesy of Attractions Magazine. This appeal, it looks modern, it looks nice, it looks beautiful. Um, as we're looking at this, were you really shocked that they put kind of like the old system of security into this? Don't you think they want to put the modern age type security?
From what I heard, the scanners that they tested a few years ago,
Yeah.
the unions got really upset over those because they felt that those scanners that you walk through or whatever technology they were using, they were worried it was going to take away jobs. So Disney went back to the old system. So until they figure all that mess out with the unions, I think we're stuck with the older tech, unfortunately. Now, hopefully they can find a good Goldilocks kind of in between compromise. But that's why we're not seeing better technology, because the unions are just kind of pushing back on them.
Well, see, it's funny you mentioned the unions, because Disney and the unions and the cast members, they just settled, their union disputes and whatnot. They almost went on strike. I don't think they actually went on strike, right? But they were like extremely close.
Close, yeah.
Okay. Here's my thinking on this. And you're talking about a few years when Disneyland Forward starts to happen. Though, they can always relocate those cast members to Disneyland Forward projects.
That's true.
Land,
yeah,
attractions, entertainment, restaurants, so on and so on. But then now you're talking about pouring more money into these entrances to now rip them apart and add new tech because they were scared at the time to upset cast members. So now you're destroying what you built. So it's kind of like going forward but backwards at the same time.
Yeah, you move forward 2 steps and then backwards a step. It's very much that. You're right. And unfortunately, there's a lot of political, I guess you would call it political, but like union stuff that's really preventing them. That's why, Universal has better technology at their parks when it comes to this, so.
Well, minus Hollywood. Orlando has the facial recognition, which I've talked to Wizard many times. He thinks in the future, not now, but in the future, I kind of want it to come before the Olympics. I don't think it would be that hard to do. The facial recognition, because a lot of times what Universal Hollywood has, you scan your pass, and there are times where they'll have you scan your fingerprints, and the machine a lot of times doesn't want to cooperate. So they have to call a supervisor over. They have to verify. They have to go through all these extra steps. Meanwhile, the lines are backing up. So I'm hoping Hollywood will consider updating and going to the facial recognition. I think that's just the modern age nowadays for security, and I'm not opposed to that. I wanted to ask you about this because with where was it? Oh, here it is. So they added really nice restrooms, by the way. Very, very modern, very nice. This area. So they just recently walled this off. This is next to the former ESPN Zone location. This was another security checkpoint. Do you think we could see the same type of modern design like we saw with the other entrance?
I think so. Yeah, I think we're gonna get that mid-century motif, so to speak, with this one. It might not look the same, but I think the general aesthetics will be the same as what we saw with the other one. Absolutely. I think that's kind of the general aesthetic they're gonna go with the entire downtown Disney, and even bleeding into the Esplanade on the other end.
Yeah, because it needs to happen. And then, talking about the Din Tai Fung earlier, you could see why. Don't get me wrong, the building looks absolutely incredible. They really spent a lot of money in design and uniqueness to the building, but that's also a problem. So
it's too specific, and that's the issue. I just feel like they were trying to they were trying to get more minimalist a little bit with the mid-century stuff to fit anything into these units or these buildings, and then they kind of undid their own work with Din Tai Fung. Now, here's the thing: to be fair to Disney, though, we're dealing with a lot of third parties too. So there could be an element here where certain third parties, maybe Din Tai Fung, they have requirements of their own. I mean, remember, these are huge companies in and of themselves that have brand identities and all that where hey, we want to move into downtown Disney, but these are some of our requirements to do so. It could be they Din Tai Fung was telling Disney, in our deal, this has to be part of the equation. Not to say I don't know for sure. I wasn't privy to the conversations, but when you're dealing with third parties and things like that, that kind of stuff comes up. So that's also a possibility.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about this compared to the other buildings they are constructing, like you said, this building is very unique to one company or to a company that fits this aesthetic. It makes me wonder if Din Tai Fung made an agreement with Disney and said, with our agreement, with our contract with you, we are at least going to be at downtown Disney for at least 10 years. At least 10 years. Because you're talking about if you can't find another company to move into this building, because I'm sure rent's not cheap.
No.
The mouse wants his money, and he's going to get it, one way or another. So if they, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, if I'm seeing this being ripped apart and leveled, I would be very kind of sad in a way, because it's, again, you look at it, whether you're in person or you're looking at pictures online, it's beautiful. It's like a masterpiece. And Aaron, now rip it apart. It's like, oh, here, take my money and throw it in the fireplace. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. You would have to, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. But because I have no idea how they would do this. But maybe what they could possibly do is maybe the Chinese elements on the roof can be they can take those off and sort of just maintain a normal roof, like a regular roof. And if something else moved in, maybe there's some way they can do that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an engineer, but if there's a way they can do that where they can maintain the building, but just take off the Chinese elements, cool. Well, now, do that, but we'll see. As far as right now, it looks like Din Tai Fung isn't going anywhere. I mean, it's massively popular. We were in that same area, like I said, with our OG55 meetup, and there was a line like you wouldn't believe to get into that place. I mean, it's been crazy. The wait times. I think it's like reservation system only or something. I don't know, but it's been nuts.
See, that's funny you mentioned that, because Porto's is going to be like that. So now you're going to have two locations opposite side of downtown Disney that's going to be like that. So you imagine the crowds that are just going to pour in just for that alone.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So yeah, we're going to see some major changes. We haven't seen, I was telling the Italiano in a video the other day, we haven't seen this much investment in Disneyland Resort in a long time. Downtown Disney is getting reimagined. DCA is getting at least $1 billion plus invested. I mean, Pandora alone is probably going to cost them close to $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to throw in 2 Avengers rides and a Coco Dark ride. That's a lot, so you're dealing with basically a resort-wide sort of investment. So this is huge. This is the biggest I've seen for Disneyland Resort in a long time.
Sure. One thing I wanted to ask you as well.
Sure.
Because we've talked about it many times on your videos. I just watched also a video, another great friend of the channel, David from Fresh Baked. He did a video from DCA. Love that guy. He was
Fresh Baked.
Oh yeah, Fresh Baked. He was talking about the red car trolley situation, and again, that's kind of like a sore subject because people want it still. There's other people that don't want it. One thing he mentioned, and this was a complete hypothetical. He said if Avatar, right, goes into the Hollywood backlot, you got the rest of Hollywood Boulevard there. how in the hell do you blend that into Avatar? How would you even do that?
Yeah, I mean that's the $1 million question. Because there's enough room back here. These buildings are massive.
Sure.
It's very deceiving when you're on the ground because it doesn't seem like that much space because these buildings sort of surround it and make it feel very small. But
Sure.
if you were to take down the Hyperion, the Hollywood and Dine, the Muppets, the Monsters Monsters Inc. I mean, that's a significant amount of space all right there, and that's not even including the bus area above it that they can now use, right?
Yeah.
But the issue is how do you go? Dave is right. How do you go from Hollywood Boulevard into Pandora? The only thing I could think of, if they were going to keep Hollywood Boulevard and they were going to keep those buildings, like Disney Junior, the animation building, and the award wieners, maybe you kind of re-theme those buildings to like military kind of like base structures. So you're walking onto like a military base, and as you go further into the military base, you go off into Pandora. So it's like that transition. Because when we went to Pandora in Animal Kingdom last summer, it's not just like natural beauty. There's a lot of military kind of elements sprinkled into that land as well. So the military stuff might be towards the front of the land, down, like the Hollywood Boulevard area. And then as you go down, then you get into the more aesthetic, natural beauty as you get further into it. That's my only guess. Or they get rid of all of it, like just all of it, and they make the whole thing Pandora, which is possible too.
They could. David also floated an idea, and this is just hypothetical because I know how you and me feel about copied lands.
Right.
Since the Monsters Incorporated ride is in the Hollywood backlot, and it kind of sort of fits in with the Hollywood theme to a point, you can kind of figure out how to tie it in together. How about building a Monsters Land in that area and tying it in, which wouldn't really 100% require them to kind of justify the monorail, because that kind of would fit in.
Oh no, that would work. Yeah, you can put Monstropolis back there. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just feel the red car trolley news when they said it's not coming back and they're getting rid of the barn.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, okay, Hollywood is gone. Like the whole idea of an urban area is gone. Otherwise, they'd keep it. So that's why I'm really bullish on it being Pandora. But again, this is speculation. I could be totally wrong,
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, because David also floated the idea. So when you're coming down Hollywood Boulevard, I think that if I'm not mistaken, so the red car trolley is here.
Right.
It goes down Buena Vista Street, circles around Cathay Circle, goes down the Hollywood Boulevard to Hollywoodland, and it stops on Sunset Boulevard. Okay. What if it got rerouted, and instead of going to Hollywood Boulevard, so axe this whole area right here, and this is a long stretch. That's why I said earlier it's a total long stretch. And even he said it himself. If it went Cathay Circle, but then it started making its way all the way down Performance Corner, all the way down towards this way, and winds up being, I think David was saying somewhere in this area where they can relocate the barn, because right here I think is the Pixar. It has a Pixar logo on it, and it's a big giant wooden gate, and that's where a lot of the floats come in and out of. Do you see that possibility? Because the way I see it, the red car trolley, that would actually make it an actual attraction within itself, where it's not like a 2-minute ride. It could be like a 5-10 minute ride.
Yeah. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's possible they do that. They did say in that press release we're going to give out more information later, because Scott Gustin, friend of the channel, he asked Disney, "Is it coming back?" Because it's closing in 2025, but is it coming back? And Disney said we'll give more information on that later. So that could mean one of two things. It could mean the information is it's not coming back, or it is coming back and it's a new route. You know, another thing that Disney has to think about too, if we're getting rid of Hollywoodland, what do you do about parades? Because parades go down that street, so they're gonna have to reroute the parades too. So it's gonna take some configuring, you know, for sure, if they put Pandora in there. So we'll see how it's almost like another like 2012 all over again, where they're kind of reimagining the entire park at that point, you know.
And to think about it as well, and David also pointed this out, if you were to add new tracks, you're talking about literally a construction wall that would be a pinch point from this area all the way up here, going all the way down, all the way across to all the way to this area. So you're talking about a pretty wide, maybe not the full length, but a pretty wide construction wall to add tracks, to rip up concrete, to add the tracks, not to mention the wire that goes above that the trolley car itself connects to. So you would have to add a lot of infrastructure to that.
You would. And also another issue would be the festivals that we have, the food and wine and things like that. They sprinkle the booths along the parade route.
Yeah.
So if you have now the booths and a trolley going through there, I mean, it's going to be so congested. I don't know. It could happen. But I'm like pretty sure it's not. I think they're just going to get rid of it. Sadly, I love the red car. I love it, love it, love it. But I just don't see them going through all that.
Yeah. And, you know, again, it's something we have to just kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Disney likes to tease things, take things away, add things, reimagine things. So who knows? Everything we talked about in Downtown Disney, just like Josh D'Amaro said during the parks panel, he said all the lands, all the attractions, 5 years and it's open.
Yep.
When Disney comes out and says all this stuff that we're doing is going to open in the winter, I'm not talking about Porto's, I'm not talking about Earl Sandwich, because they have to literally build those buildings from scratch.
Right.
And even the barbecue and the steak restaurant. But I'm talking about the candy store. I'm talking about the stores that are going to be in that Best Buy looking building that David likes to say all the time, you know, stuff like that. Do you think that's a smart timeline for that?
Like all of this stuff being done in 5 years?
Yeah,
I think it's very ambitious. And the thing that worries me the most is Pandora.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be the one. Like the Avengers stuff, I'm sure that'll be done. You know, they're starting that now from what we're hearing. Like the ground is moving on this pretty much already. The Coco Dark Ride is one ride. I'm sure they can get that done in a few years. Pandora though is going to be that's significant. You know, that's going to be tough. I mean, they got to start that soon, like real soon. So,
and you know, as far as I do, that, you know, James Cameron, he's probably going to have his own on-site office at that project.
Oh yeah, he'll be watching. That's why I'm not even worried about the quality for Pandora, because I know Cameron will demand it is top notch, you know? So I think it'll be fantastic. I think it'll be really well done. It's just a matter of how is it going to fit into this park, both physically and theme wise, you know? So we'll see how they work all that out. Maybe we get a name change, you know, and that's the rumored.
Yeah. Definitely a name change. I'm so intrigued for that. I want it to happen.
Yeah. Well, if you change the theme, let's say to, you know, it's Disney Cinematic Adventure, then you open up like the floodgates. Like you can technically then put Villains Land in the Simba lot. You can technically put a whole Polynesian area for Moana in the Simba lot. I mean, you can technically even add Fantasy Springs in DCA then. I mean, the sky is literally the limit if you take out California and you put cinematic in there.
Yeah, which it's not changing the abbreviation; it's changing one word of the title.
Exactly. Although the best name would be Disney Conductor Adventure, but you know that's neither here nor there.
Selling the little conductor hats.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I wanted to ask you before we go is the Hyperion Theater, because I talked about this with I think it was you and George or you and Webba. If they decide to level the Hyperion and they decide to build Pandora, because they were talking about definitely we're getting one attraction in that land.
Right.
If Avengers Campus does not expand into that area, the Hyperion Theater and that soundstage that's literally right next to it that you're looking on the map, do you think that could be the second location of an indoor dark ride? Whatever.
Yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely. The rumor is that we are getting a second attraction for Pandora. So, yeah, the Hyperion is very much in jeopardy. Like this thing, if they're putting Pandora in Hollywoodland, like replacing Hollywoodland with Pandora,
yeah,
Hyperion is gone.
Yeah,
I that's probably why we haven't seen a show in there for a while. To be honest with you, and that takes, look at the building; it's huge.
Oh, it's humongous.
Yeah, you could put an e-ticket there if you want. I mean, it's massive.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And the problem is though, again, it comes down to permits, because like you just said, that building, when you're on Hollywoodland and you're walking up that street, that thing is so humongous. You're talking, obviously, the demo of that to the ground. You thought the AMC was bad, ripping that down in downtown Disney, and what a pain in the butt that was. You imagine them trying to rip that down with guests?
Oh, jeez.
Even if they wall it off. Okay, so let's say they wall it off right here, right?
Yeah.
They wall it off here, and they wall it off at literally like the tail end of Pym Test Kitchen. You're still talking a massive disruption. Massive.
It's massive. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah. So it's going to be a disaster.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah. No, it's going to be crazy. Yeah. This is going to be absolutely nuts. I'm very curious to see how they work this whole thing into here. Yeah. We'll see. I think a theme change might be in the cards. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
and when they do it, I'm going to give you and George the credit because you called it first.
well, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it does. I think big changes are coming to DCA.
Yeah.
Like not just the stuff that we've know for sure is coming, but I think there might be a name change, a theme change. Right. This is basically like a reimagining of the park again, which is wild to me.
Oh yeah. And then with all the changes in downtown Disney going on, then on top of that, they still have more work to do. They have a former ESPN Zone building that's currently supposedly being used for cast members. You got the Rainforest Cafe old building that they're using 1/4 of for a gift shop for Star Wars Trading Post. You got the whole Esplanade that they have to update because it looks like it's falling apart. So they still have a lot of play to go around. So we're in my opinion, Disney has a very exciting future for the Disneyland Resort for at least the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, a lot of projects in the pipeline. A lot of stuff happening. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for Disneyland. It's an exciting time for Walt Disney World. So it'll be fun, especially great for us nerds. It's stuff that we can nerd out and speculate over, for years and years to come. So, hey, everybody, get used to OG and Conductor because we're not going anywhere. We're here to talk about this stuff.
Oh, hell no. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep nothing to that high esteem. You kidding me?
Yep, exactly. And you know what? You said you're not going anywhere?
Uh-oh.
Nothing can stop us now.
There we go.
One other thing that popped in my mind is, did you happen to watch Hey Bricky's video yesterday?
No, I'm so behind. I have not. I'm actually planning on doing a catch up, and we're actually going to try to do some reactions for some of his videos because he does amazing work. But I didn't see it yet.
The guy is a godsend when it comes to the Disneyland Resort. He is definitely a historian. I just want to give you a preview. I'm not going to go into much detail, but he was actually saying, with what's going on in the Magic Kingdom, right? with their Tom Sawyer's Island falling apart. It's going to become non-relevant anymore. They're going to fill it in and build a Cars Land there. He was saying on our Tom Sawyer's Island, yes, there is history. There would be a lot of crying shoulders if Disney ever got rid of it.
Right.
But you go onto the island, there are so many broken effects on our island. Do you think personally that our Tom Sawyer's Island is in jeopardy? Or do you think Disney's waiting to fix all that stuff?
Yeah, I think the worst case, maybe even the best case, I'm not really sure how it depends on what you think of it, but like I think what we might see is remember how years and years ago, I don't know if you remember, but years and years ago when Pirates of the Caribbean, when those movies were really big, like Jack Sparrow kind of took over the island a little bit, Pirates Lair, you know. We might see something like that where they sort of inject something to like breathe new life into the area again. But we're not going to see anything like what Florida saw. They're not going to fill up our rivers of America and put something else in there. Number one, not even just nostalgia. I mean, that's a huge factor, but not even just nostalgia.
Sure.
But our Fantasmic is on that river. The one in Florida, their Fantasmic does not perform on the rivers of America.
No, it's in the amphitheater, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in an amphitheater in Hollywood Studios. So our Fantasmic, which is a huge moneymaker for Disney through the dining packages and what have you, Disney's not gonna stop that gravy train. That's never gonna happen. So no, our rivers is safe. Tom Sawyer Island might get like a new overlay. Maybe they'll replace some of the stuff like they did with the pirate thing, right? But I think that's about as bad, or as we'll see with ours. So yeah, I think we're okay though overall with the river and everything. I think it's fine. I think it'll be here for for our lifetimes. But in terms of the theme of Pirates Lair or the Tom Sawyer Island, that might see some twerking.
Yeah, it definitely needs a facelift, to say the least. And one thing, and once you watch the video, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Bricky was saying a lot of the water that's in our Tom Sawyer's Island isn't just for that island. It feeds other areas of the park.
Right.
Well, so ours is a actual working Tom Sawyer's Island. It's not there just for an homage and photo op. It does a lot of work behind the scenes for the Disneyland Resort.
Yeah. And the Imagineers do have a California bias. They do. And
Sure.
And there's a lot of history with Disneyland. I don't think they're going to do that. I think what they're doing is they're sort of using Magic Kingdom as more of a sandbox to play with more experimental stuff because it doesn't have that same history and connection to Walt that ours does. So they'll do the more experimental stuff at Magic Kingdom. But in terms of Disneyland, you're not going to see them bulldoze or rip apart the rivers of America. It's never going to happen. And like I said, even on the money end of it, it doesn't make sense for them because then they would totally stop the Fantasmic dining package gravy train, and they're not going to do that.
No, they make too much money. The mouse jumps up and down when he sees those dollar bills rolling in.
Exactly. Yeah, the mouse is over here just adding commas, you know what I'm saying? Comma, you know, just making money.
Wizard's favorite word, commas.
Yeah, right, exactly. Commas and colons.
Colons. Again, thank you, OG55, for taking some time out on this very exciting Sunday to talk about all these amazing topics.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you again on social media?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me, Conductor. I do appreciate it.
Young blood, but I'm built like an OG.
There we go, OG. You can find me on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, where we do a lot of content, theme park content like this, just getting kind of nerdy, down and dirty with all the nerdy, right? Talking about, the speculation and the news, the rumors, all that stuff. Orange Grove 55. Also on Twitter, formerly known as X. You can find me at Orange Grove 55, and you can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55.
Absolutely. And you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Theme Park Conductor. You can also find me on Twitter at Theme Conductor. And if you're going to Universal next week for HHN, you'll see me roaming around with the monsters. So definitely look out for me for sure. And come say hello. I always enjoy meeting new fans of the show. So definitely say hello. Everyone, I want to wish you a happy Labor Day because this video will be coming out on Labor Day morning. So happy Labor Day to everybody. Happy Labor Day to you, Orange Grove 55.
You as well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And me and Orange Grove 55 and Disney George will be doing future videos very soon.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely stay tuned for that. And again, everyone, thank you for joining. Stay safe out there. Be cool. Don't die of the heat, please.
Right.
And everyone have a wonderful night.